Welcome to the Beyond Average podcast, where we go beyond revenue and talk about what really builds enterprise value, leadership, culture, customer connection, and scalable systems through the four intangible capitals. I'm Kristin Carlson, and joining me today is Lauren Weinbaum, president and founder of Weinbaum Management Group in Los Angeles, California. So, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Kristen. Thank you so much for having me as your guest. I really appreciate it.
You bet. I would love to learn what it took to get your company off the ground. Why did you start a company?
Well, I would say that I've had aspirations to be a business owner from a very young age. I grew up on an active pig and cattle farm, and it was a family business. So I saw my dad run a business every day of my life, and my family was involved in the business. And I was working for some really great companies on the general contractor side after I graduated from Bradley University with a degree in civil engineering. And I fell in love with aviation, basically. I was working for Walsh Construction from 2010 to 2013. And my last assignment on the Tom Bradley International Terminal project was to be the tenant coordination manager. And so my role was Walsh was building the core and the shell, which basically means the base building to drywall with utility connections, and then all the tenants, custom border protection, all the airline lounges, all the concessionaires were coming in to the project, and I was responsible for coordinating them.
Wow.
And what I realized during that process is, wow, I think I found the business I want to start. All these tenants are very smart in what they do, in managing their lounge, in managing TSA. But what they don't know how to do is they don't know how to perform construction in an active airport to get their operations. So basically, after that project was ending, I set up my company, and my first client was Westfield. They now are Azure, but they are the shopping mall developer. It's very pretty well known,
Mhm.
and that's kind of what happened. And I sort of follow the if you're gonna gamble in life, gamble on yourself.
Excellent. Excellent. So you started by yourself?
I did start by myself, and it was only me. So I named the company Weinbaum Management Group. Engineer, not very creative. Group was a little bit false advertisement at first because it was just me, and I was doing the payroll, the insurance, the security clearance, and managing projects for the client. And then slowly but surely, I added more and more people to our firm.
And what did it take to build that confidence to bring on a person to help you?
Well, it took two things happening. So first, I am very fiscally conservative, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough payroll in my business bank account that I could afford another salary. And then second, I was realizing that I was getting opportunities with clients to work on their projects, but if it was going to be only me, I was limited to my own capacity. So it sort of felt that I needed to start hiring more team members that worked under me to grow the company.
Right. But you wanted to make sure you had the cash flow, right? To be able to, you didn't want to take loans. I thought there was a lesson there that we discussed earlier.
Yes, I did not want to take a line of credit or a loan. And I think it goes back to my dad. He never borrowed money for his farm ever, and it helped him manage his cash flow year to year, which is not normal. A lot of farmers will borrow money. So I decided I'm not going to borrow money. I'm just going to save my earnings, put it back in the business, and hire people. But it was funny because my accountant said to me, Lauren, you really should be taking loans to expand. And I said, no, I don't think so. And then when COVID happened, and everything was sort of frozen. It was a weird time where people were transitioning to remote. And it took us about 6 months to get paid from clients. And I was so grateful that we had kept a nest egg, pretty significant nest egg. And so we laugh about it now. And I joke with my accountant. I said, yeah, I still haven't decided to take a line of credit.
But it did protect you, right, through COVID. And
It did, but there is an argument to be made that our business could have grown more by taking a loan from a bank to expand the payroll. And I think everything I've read about growth, perhaps that is a better decision, but you can also hit a tipping point where you're over leveraged.
right.
And I was really afraid of that.
Didn't want to take that risk. Well, your team has grown a lot. Can you just tell us where you're at today and how you brought on additional people?
Sure. So we now are in the state of California and the state of Seattle. We do have employees in Florida as well, but we don't have active projects there. So we've been working on projects all across the United States. So we perform project management, program management, and recently, in the past 2 years, we've developed a project controls division, which is construction scheduling and permit management. And then we also do third-party inspection, checking the work on the contractor side as a third party and making sure it complies with the design documents and the specifications.
Yeah. And someone close to you is running that scheduling arm.
Yes, yes. My husband, actually, he had a background in construction management and he worked for a really great firm for a long time, Austin Commercial. And he just said, basically, I want to do this. I want to try this. And what was happening was I was getting calls from clients saying, you know, we really need help with scheduling, and we didn't offer it. And scheduling has turned into probably one of our biggest foot in the door portions of our business unit because we used to only work for contractors and owners. Well, now the scheduling requirement has opened up the door for us to work for architects and engineers because a lot of the proposals say we need a design schedule, we need a construction schedule.
And does that feed your other business or is it cross referrals that support each other or are they fairly independent?
So it does feed our other business for the most part. So when we get involved in a project at the design level, which we didn't used to have that opportunity, then we're in that opportunity with our permit management and our scheduling side of the business. And then when it's time to actually manage the construction, the rest of our team comes and helps manage the construction.
Excellent. So you started off on your own and now you've grown and have several people on your team. Is there a mindset shift between doing all the work yourself and now empowering your team to run the projects?
Yes, I have decided that it's impossible for me. I see the business as there's the financial piece, there's the business development piece, and then there's the operational piece. So what I've really focused on outsourcing is the operational piece, people, competent people to manage construction projects, and then the financial piece, managing the taxes, the payroll. I've also hired and staffed up with that in addition to HR. And then I am focusing more and more on business development. So I'm the one that's going out, being the face, meeting the clients, chasing the next project.
All right. And so how was it to build a team? I mean, what had to change for you to have people want to work for you and stay in your company?
Well, when we first got going and we were very small, we did not even offer health insurance or retirement plans. So what's difficult with starting a small business and being attractive to employees is that it takes you a little while to be eligible to be large enough where brokerage firms want to sell you benefits.
Right.
So I remember I was interviewing this really great candidate and I really wanted her to come work for us. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, you don't offer health insurance?" I said, "No, we offer a stipend." And she declined the offer. And I was positive she was going to join our team. And after that, I said, "We have to figure this out. We have to start offering competitive benefits. And I want to know what all of our clients do, what their benefit package is. And I want to do everything in my power as a small business to be as competitive as these larger companies, because those are the people that we want." The other thing that we've had the benefit of doing with being a small business is that you can avoid a lot of the red tape that you would see in a larger firm. So in larger firms, there's multi levels of management. And basically, between myself and two other people, we manage pretty much everyone in the firm.
All right. So that's the way to attract people to the company. How are you retaining your talent?
Well, retaining talent, one of the other things that we did while we're on the focus of attracting people to the company, I believe we built a reputation as a scheduling firm because the people that we hire actually worked on the construction management and field side first and did scheduling later. So this is sort of to use a golf reference, the back nine of people's career. And
Okay.
then we offer construction historically had not been a hybrid environment or work remote environment. Well, with the scheduling, we've been able to offer that. So we have tried to retain people by giving them, we now do, I know this sounds silly, but we now do annual documented reviews. We didn't do that 7 or 8 years ago when we were first just getting going. We were such a small team, everybody was talking. We tried to have iconic holiday parties. So we've been to the Spare Room in West Hollywood. We've been to the Magic Castle a few times, and people really like that. The other thing we do is we buy lunch for the entire office every Tuesday. If
Wow.
people want to come in, they come in. So it's nice. We see most of our team does join. And then anyone that is actually in the office, we buy them whatever snacks, sodas they want to have it on hand. So just kind of adding a more personal feel.
Awesome. And they get to know each other better and
They do get to know each other better.
office. Excellent. Excellent. So you had shared with me earlier just about a challenge with taking on a project that was kind of outside of your core values. Could you share that with us?
Yes. So we had a client, commercial client, and we do commercial work all the time. And the relationship was going great. And the client said, I really need some help on my personal residence. And my instincts were, we don't really do this. And then she's like, please, I'm really in trouble. Something's wrong with the construction. I can't figure it out. Can you come take a look? So when I went and took a look at their personal residence, it was almost like a commercial property, so large in scale and had dedicated things that we see in commercial, dedicated electrical room, dedicated mechanical room. And the team that I was bringing to help on this project, so we did decide to take the project. So the team that I brought to help on the project was not used to the different types of company that work in the residential market. So in commercial, the contractors are licensed, bonded, insured, W-2 of their organization 100% of the time. The commercial or the residential market, not necessarily the same workforce. So that caused frustrations within our team. And the environment was different. So when you're working in someone's home, imagine they're working their regular job during the day and they want to talk to you and meet with you before they go to work and then late in the evening. So, unfortunately, what I realized by going outside of our core values, I lost 4 people throughout the duration of that project
So it just
that
never hit,
left
right?
our organization and basically cited that they didn't like the direction that things were headed with the residential. And that made me say there was one final thing that happened. Our insurance broker, after the fires happened in California, massive destruction, said, you are not going to get insurance anymore commercially if you keep working on residential.
Oh, wow.
The
Okay.
brokers do not want to sell you insurance, it's too risky. So, between losing the staff, my personal time, and the market basically making the decision for us, we said, this was a favor. We're not choosing to pursue this business anymore.
Right. So just stick to your lane and just a
Yes, stick
huge
to your
lesson.
lane. And it is tempting because it is still construction. And it was an exciting project. It was a very high-end private residence. But between the different hours, the different personality types, and the different companies that are involved, it wasn't something our team had the appetite to deal with. They wanted to go back to commercial.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you for sharing that lesson. So, looking forward, can you share any of your goals like for the next 12 months? Where do you think your company is going to be going?
Well, we are continuing to pursue work in Seattle. We have just had a wonderful experience there for the past 4 to 5 years. They are extremely friendly to small businesses. We will stay in our home area of California, Los Angeles, and we're looking to expand. Las Vegas has a large capital program that's coming, and we're very interested in that. We've been following that. We expect to see documents being produced in 2027. So we would like to continue to reach further on
And,
aviation projects.
and I was going to say, is it the aviation and work in the airports?
It really is. There has been a few times that we have tried other market sectors, and education is a big one. There's a lot of work. I hear it's a great place to work. But the way our industry works, you get known as a school education firm,
Mhm.
aviation port firm. It seems very difficult unless we were to really experience massive growth to have multiple different silos in all these sectors. But I'd like to get there. I mean, right now we're focusing. One of the best decisions I made recently when I had a key team member leave is that I said, we need someone to do HR. And HR needs to be, we need to be constantly recruiting, whether we have a project or not. And what I found is when the client calls, if you have a fresh screened team member to onboard, the work comes. Whereas before, we'd wait for the client to call and then we would go recruit if we needed additional staff. And it would sort of lose momentum. So I think
Yeah,
that's a really smart thing, investing in HR, that I did recently.
excellent. And just that timing probably, right? So the time to bring in new talent, if somebody's knocking on your door with a project, that would be tough. So
It
build
is tough.
pipeline. Awesome. So to wrap up, could you just share some words of wisdom that you would give to someone that is wanting to start a business in the construction industry?
So early on, some of the best advice was I got from one of the project managers I worked for at Bovis Lindley's. And he said, never be too good to call people back. And I would say I've remembered that, and I do make an effort to always respond. And in a world where communication has changed drastically and it's so easy to communicate that it almost undervalues communication, I think that's the big thing that I would say. Always call people back because you never know where the relationship is going to send you. I would also say, from what I've learned, stick to your core values. Find something that you are so good at that you can do it better than anybody else. And then also, it needs to not feel like work. You just need to have a burning passion where you're excited to go into the office or go to the construction site every day. And there are different aspects of the projects that maybe aren't as exciting. Don't focus on those as your core value. And then I would say, don't ever give up. Remember when I said in the beginning, if you're going to gamble, gamble on yourself? I would tell anyone to do this. And there are darker moments. There definitely are. But feeling the pride of building something from scratch and being able to execute is something that you can't really put a price on.
Awesome. Great advice. Thank you so much for joining us today and just sharing your wisdom. And thank you for your leadership. Very excited for your company.
Yes, thank you so much.